It's a great role. You get to scare the hell out of the audience. You got to scare them. They heard that. It's like, no. But I also got to play probably my shining moment on stage for me in my young career was my Richard III. Oh. This was right around the time that the Ian McKellen film came out, so no pressure. No. Our stage manager sucks.
You offer so much, and they don't.
So I went to NYU, and I have a degree in acting from there. So I used to do a lot of theater stuff. Some highlights. Well, I've been Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar a couple of times. And that's fun because that is a rock musical that actually does rock. So many others are really just jazzing, you know. That is not. So that was a lot of fun. And I was in Stop for a little while in New York, which isn't a role exactly. It's a little different, but yeah. And something that you'll appreciate, Chris. Obviously, an off-Broadway version of Hamlet. I played Laertes, which was choreographed by Sutton. So and the last theatrical thing I did, you know, because here's the thing: theater, I find to be the most creatively rewarding as an actor, but it pays the worst. And if you've seen me around this weekend, maybe you've seen these little short versions of me following me around. So I have 3 children, and they eat, and they wear clothes, and they live in a house.
And they grow, and they eat more.
Yeah. So the thing is, you know, and theater, it's not like, you just go in like voice acting for an hour or 2 a day. You know, they get you for a long period of time. So I did. I was directing Magical Go Ring Me and 4 kids. It was a cute show, and it was like in between seasons or something, and I was like, you know, this is great because I got the big contract coming up for the next season. I got a little break. I'm going to go do a show, and I got cast in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh.
Having a lot of fun. As I had done any like straight theater in a long time. Some musical stuff, but you know. And it was awesome. I had such a good time. But then after I got involved, Don't Ring Me got canceled. So, I know. And then I was like, oh crap! Now I need to work. But I know. But it you know worked out great. That was a fun show, and I'd love to do theater again. And hopefully someday I'll be able to afford to do so.
I went to the high school for the performing and visual arts for theater. The first 2 years of my schooling, I wasn't allowed to do any kind of stage work. So the first year that we were able to do any kind of on-stage stuff, because we had to do so much crew, was junior year, and my director had chosen a musical called Into the Woods. I'm not sure if you know which at the time I was obsessed with. And being a junior, she cast all seniors in the main roles. So she cast me as Snow White for obvious reasons, and she comes in at the end, and then we're about halfway through production, and she decides that she had seen this version of Into the Woods where they had Milky White the cow. They didn't use a plastic version; they used a real person, and so she thought that was a brilliant idea, and decided to choose me to do it. And I was like, really? You're going to want me to be a cow and I don't say anything but no? And okay, great. And she hated me anyway, so I took that.
I know her.
So I took that as a challenge. And by the end of the run, it ended up being every night when we would go out to the audience afterwards, they would all rush me because, you know, Milky White was such an emotional character. The scene was beautiful and amazing. You were so good. And I was like, really? Wow, that's awesome. And then I have 2 others. I worked my first real show that I worked with Greg Ayres on was one called Runaways, and it was the first time I.
Chris played John Jett in that one.
was actually Lord Montague. And we had this huge fight scene, and where there was like 35 of us fighting on stage for like a minute and a half, and it was just out of control, and Greg's weapon of choice was a skateboard. And this girl, dressed in a corset, short shorts, thigh-high 6-inch boots, and a riding crop.
Did you say that was your character as the big one dominatrix?
Oh yeah, and I was a
Lady
full
Captain.
dominatrix. And that was a huge challenge for me, because fighting in those kinds of shoes is not easy. But it was also incredibly emotional. I mean, it was a really, really fantastic show. Yeah, so.
I also have to blow Carli's horn very quickly. She was absolutely amazing. The theater we used to work for in Texas, but we managed to get the rights for the Southwest premiere of Cat's Meow, and Carli married babies a little bit. Christian Dunst did a film, got her hair blonde, and was absolutely stunning in the role. I didn't look her up.
I do love that show.
Disagree there.
No, and thinking about my answer this entire time, I noticed a pattern in my casting. My two favorite theater roles I've ever done. First one, a long time ago, was Bob in Midsummer Night's Dream. And the last thing I did before moving, to San Antonio and Houston was Rump in Greece.
You see the pattern here?
No, I'm missing. What am I missing? Yeah?
Hey, I asked this one with Greg, and he really thought about it. If you had to meet a alive or dead celebrity or actress, or who did you look up to that you'd like to just be able to sit down and talk to?
Stevie Wonder, and that's all.
Bob Fosse and the author Dan Millman.
Yeah.
Actor.
Two of them are Orson Welles and William Shakespeare, though Shakespeare scares the hell out of me, so I probably would prefer Orson Welles, because I'm sure Shakespeare scares me the entire time I'm across and go, so what's with what you did in Romeo and Juliet? You really think I sound like that? Yeah, definitely those two.
Robert E. Howard. And toss up between Anthony Heald and Mark Hamill.
I'm going to approach this as like, who seems like they'd be fun to hang out with. And I'm going to go with George Takei. Just in person, they do that. And like George Clooney, because that guy can get in any party anywhere, so I think it'd be a good time. I have to say, one actor though that I did get to meet, which was a really cool experience, was James Earl Jones. And the thing is, with James Earl Jones, his voice is like this big warm blanket that goes over you. He can say anything. He could be talking to you about like his prostate exam or something. And you're just like, wow.